We are now live, ready to rock. This is the Cinema Night Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to have you aboard. To those of you that check the show live as it happens in our streams, thanks for joining us when you join us. We're now available on Facebook Live, and we are live streaming on YouTube for the first time. So this is a new thing that we're doing. But that doesn't matter because this is about a podcast. This is a show about movies. My name is Michael Govier. My dear co-hosts are here like they are always here every week. In fact, rarely have we ever had a show. Maybe, has it been one show where all three of us weren't here? One time, right?
There was only one show that one of us wasn't here, and I'm not going to say any names, but he wasn't you or me.
That voice you're hearing is the voice of Travis Roy. Travis, you know, COVID-19 is rearing its ugly head again. Are you okay?
COVID what?
COVID-19!
I haven't heard of it. I don't really watch the news.
You're a lucky man, then. Congratulations. So are you okay?
Me? Yeah, I'm good, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus. I'm doing good.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. That warms my heart. What about you? Eric Branstrom of Griffith, Indiana. How are you doing this evening?
It's a beautiful, blustery, windy November, and I'm real excited to talk turkey, no pun intended, with this 1995 film from Jodie Foster.
Yeah,
which I erroneously called last episode the first film she directed. I'd like to get that out of the way now. It was her second. Little Man Tate was her first. Jodie Foster, that is.
Oh shit! I was also under the impression that this was her first directorial debut, which is a double. I just told myself redundancies are happening. Welcome to the Redundancy Podcast. You're listening live. Check out everything we do online. Instagram, we always have lovely totems about films. Usually tributes, you know, hey, this movie came out 27 years ago on this date, or a film review on occasion that we don't talk about on the podcast. Instagram's the best spot for that. We're on Twitter too. Our Twitter following's got a little better, a little stronger. We try to tweet a little bit more often. It's Cinema Night Pod, so you can check out Cinema Night Pod on there, and of course on our Facebook page, which is now humming along. And thanks to those who commented last week and left a lot of thoughts about the show. Matt Wilson, Jimmy Takis, everybody was chiming in. It was pretty cool to see all the comments on that.
I want to give a quick shout out to Matt Wilson, who we inexplicably sometimes call Matt Willis, but I want to give him a quick shout out for describing the show. Like he said some really nice things about our last episode, which again, thanks to Chad for coming on. I really think it was one of our strongest episodes yet. But Matt said, so like, what gives? You take a movie that you say you love and then trash it? Yes, that is the premise of our show. Welcome to the Cinema 9 Podcast. You just nailed it.
Yeah, it was fun seeing his comments because, you know, the comments kind of show up as the whole video plays. So it's fun to see him kind of have these revelations. He questions things, and then at the end, he's like, I love this pod. So thanks, Matt. That was very kind of you to say. I do think it was a strong episode. Chad Gibbons, salute to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. American History X. It ended up holding up 3-1. So that will always be for all time. That's it.
For all time. This is a definitive statement. Our shitcast.
Yeah. So today we're going to be looking at Home for the Holidays. Does it hold up? 1995, right? Film by Jodie Foster. Travis's selection. And at the end of the show, Eric Branstrom will make his choice for next week. We'll find out what will be on tap, which, you know, it is Thanksgiving. So I don't know. We might have to record on a different day. I don't care about Thanksgiving, really. But some people do, so we'll have to.
I'm fine. We can record for the record.
Wait, you want to watch football?
No.
What?
Yeah, I don't even want to watch football, so I assume you guys don't either. Yeah, who cares? Nothing matters. Anyways, yeah, so Eric will have his selection at the end of the show, and we'll do quarantine viewing picks, but, you know, we're just kind of talking about society and stuff. You know, I watched Marathon Man for the first time, and we were just talking about it before we went live. I had never seen it, and I didn't know what this whole is it secret, is it safe thing meant. And to me, I actually think Marathon Man kind of created a genre. Like it's almost like the defining picture of like the conspiracy theory film. Like, unless you could think of a good one before that, I kind of see it's the modern one anyways. Like guy on the run, the government's after him.
Manchurian Candidate.
Every Hitchcock movie in the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah, I'm thinking from like a modern sense though. There's something. So it's not exactly that premise. It's just the way it's done. That's all. I don't know.
Okay, you're right, Michael.
Yeah, that's right. I'm correct. I don't know. It was like this guy's on the run, and like it's just so typical now. To me, it like bred a whole bunch of bad movies that came after it.
and some good ones. I liked Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
I love Enemy of the State.
74. John Schlesinger, is he the filmmaker?
Sounds right.
I think so.
Because he did. I know he did Midnight Cowboy too. So that was 2 for 2 for good old Dustin Hoffman, and he. Yeah, it's been a long time, but that's a fucked up movie.
There was a sequel to Midnight Cowboy? It's a terrible idea.
No, it wasn't a sequel.
No sequel.
Really fucked up movie.
A follow-up.
I jest.
Oh, you jokester.
By the way, Marathon Man was 1976, and yes, it was directed by John Schlesinger, and it also had another woman that I had just seen for the first time, so it blew my mind, but she was big in the 70s. She was the one who plays like his kind of lover, but she might be not with him. What's her name? Martha Keller.
Aren't you looking at IMDb? Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Martha Keller. I saw her in another movie that I forgot to mention a couple weeks ago called Black Sunday. Anybody ever seen this with Bruce Dern? 1977. Yeah. It's really quite bizarre. It's about a guy who wants to like blow up the Super Bowl, and it's like the real Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's based on a book. I've heard of this.
Oh, okay, yeah. But the thing that would never happen now, this is what kind of sucks about where society's headed, is in Black Sunday, they were filming the actual Super Bowl that really happened, and fucking Robert Shaw is running around the field while the game he's acting while this real game is happening. It's so weird.
No, so never bizarre. Would happen now.
No.
That's funny.
I just kind of missed that. I guess I don't know why we can't still have that kind of like connectivity, but corporations and legalities and yada yada yada. So what can I tell you?
Make that money, son.
Make that money, son. Wow, that's a great line to move into our quarantine viewing picks. Every week we recommend movies that we would like you to see, or we just share movies that we've been watching and give it a hey, you want to maybe check this out type of offering. No guarantees, but hey, Travis.
Yeah.
I assume you're out of quarantine, so have you been able to watch a fair amount of films this last week?
Yeah, I watched a few movies. Aside from Home for the Holidays. I watched another Thanksgiving film because I figured I wanted to try and see what other Thanksgiving film fare there is out there. So I watched Hulu's Into the Dark Pilgrim, which was, it's like I'm watching this movie. I'm like, it's like a typical slasher, and like 3/4 of this movie, I'm pretty checked out. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the last day, like it's one of those, it came in at the end. It came in strong at the end. I'm like, whoa, all right. There was actually some Mother vibes in a good way.
Chad Gibbons, big fan.
Speaking of Chad Gibbons and speaking of Mother, I watched his recommendation called Mother from, what's his name? Bong Joon-ho. Thank you. This was Chad's recommendation, one of his recommendations when he was on, and woof. Man, thank you, Chad, for that recommendation. This is streaming on like everything that's not Netflix or Amazon Prime. If you have like any of those other streamers, check out Mother. It is such an original whodunit, and it's just like a perfect example of like a well-constructed film that like every single scene counts, every little moment counts. It's just like you just watch everything click into place, and it's really well done. I watched His House, Netflix's new horror offering, and I think it was pretty great. It had some moments that weren't the best, but overall, I thought that it had, as far as being a movie that horror, saying things about modern times, like this is up there with like Get Out and some of the, well, maybe not quite as good as Get Out, but I mean, like it's saying there's a lot going on there about xenophobia and immigration and survivor guilt, and it's really a strong film. So I would recommend that. Another Netflix offering I checked out was Holiday, which was what you expect, but I liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought it would, and like it's like this like during the movie they're like making it's like, oh God, it's so awful. They're like making jokes about like romantic comedies or like emotional manipulation, and then then of course they do all the things that they're gonna do, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm falling for it anyways, and I'm laughing and I'm crying, and I'm emotionally moved by the speech that is given in front of the involuntary audience at the end of the movie, like every fucking movie. Sorry to ruin that, but it is a romantic comedy. And then last but not least, I watched, well, two last but not least. I watched Robo Vampire from 1988, Hong Kong film that was a ripoff of RoboCop that wasn't quite as campy and as fun as I'd hoped it was. The cover box is great. And last but not least, I revisited 1995's The Prophecy. I had not seen this in a long time, and I was considering it to be on the podcast. And then I kind of went like, I don't know if it's really going to hold up. It probably won't. And I watched it. I'm like, dude, I might bring this one back. I had not seen it since the 90s. And there's some flaws to this film, absolutely, but it is a rich, weird, dark, well-acted, creep fest with a lot of fun actors. And if you haven't seen it in a while, I mean, it's basically starring Elias Koteas. What do you want? Yeah. Starring Elias Koteas.
What else you need?
Right. And Chris Walken. So, that held up pretty damn well.
Well, as we learned last week, a movie can have flaws and still hold up. So
this is true. This is the point. I aim for flawless in my feature film.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's the ultimate dream of this podcast, is to bring to the table a flawless movie that cannot be refuted in any way. And I don't think we've had one officially yet. So,
well, by that same rationale, a movie can have Elias Koteas and not hold up, like At Pupil, which isn't good.
But Almost an Angel is good. So.
I see your Elias Koteas film, and I raised you
and fall
Red Line.
What about Shooter's not that good.
I never saw Shooter.
Yeah, Elias Koteas gets his arm blown off. Spoiler alert. All right, Eric.
Not going to see it now.
Like a very vulgar blowing off of the arm. It's very violent. All right, Eric Brandstrom. What do you got, man? What's going on in Griffith, Indiana?
I watched 2 documentaries on musicians this week by pure happenstance. I watched a fucking 4-hour retrospective on the life of Frank Sinatra on Netflix, directed by Alex Gibney from Going Clear. I've never really cared for Frank Sinatra. There, I said it. I've always been like a Dean Martin kind of guy. And after sitting through this laborious life story, I still really just do not care for the guy. He's a womanizing creep, but he did win an Oscar in 1946 for a short film that he made called The House I Live In, which was made to oppose anti-Semitism at the end of World War II. And it's really fucking good. So
it's really good.
Even though I don't care for this guy as an artist, I mean, it's a generational thing in my opinion. I have to applaud him for that, because that was really something. No one was doing something like that, especially a mainstream artist, let alone a musician. So
and that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing he was doing by any stretch either. I mean, like, yes, he was saying he was friends with Sammy Davis Jr. and went on record saying racist shit to him. Yeah. But he also he donated to, I believe he was one of the donators to the March in Washington. I believe. I know Bob Dylan was. But he's he opened a lot of doors for people of color and that kind of stuff at the time. For what it's worth, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he should be too vilified.
No,
something happening here.
Okay. I watched
That's funny.
Buffalo Springfield. Anyway, I watched Gimme Danger. It's the story of the Stooges by Jim Jarmusch, Iggy Pop's band.
Who's the ugliest man in the world? Iggy Pop.
They are like monsters. They're like fucking Fraggle Rock. I don't know what the deal is with these guys. But yeah, Jim Jarmusch made this in 2014. He directs in his usual kind of sleepy way. So for a band that's like super manic, it's like a little slow paced and a little bit dull, but it is interesting to hear about like Detroit rock back in the late 60s when these bands were just like grinding it out in these filthy shitholes and putting in the work to get like maybe one track on the charts. I've always liked Iggy Pop's solo stuff more than the Stooges, but it is cool. There's some cool stories about Ann Arbor and the Blind Pig and some of Iggy with Velvet Underground and the MC5. It's worth it. It's on Amazon Prime. Unhinged. I've been waiting for this movie to hit VOD. Russell Crowe, dude. The premise, ever since I heard about this premise, you honk at the wrong guy, he gets pissed. You got to deal with him now. I could not wait until it would hit VOD. It's fucking good. It really surprised me. It's brutal as shit. It's lean. It's like 90 minutes. Russell Crowe is genuinely really creepy and fucking enormous. Yeah, so check that out. It's a great thriller, the likes we haven't seen since like the trim, like 90s thrillers, like Changing Lanes and all that sort of stuff. Really fun.
Yeah, wow. Okay. Well, hey, Derek Ferns joined the show. Hey, Derek, hi. How's that bubble butt doing? You ripping farts on people?
Three Cushions fan, no lights, no talk. 10:30.
Okay, interesting stuff. Different. That's unusual for you, Eric. That was like a different kind of. Not a lot of documentaries that you always watch.
I also watched all 3 seasons of Leah Remini's show on Scientology. It's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. It's good stuff.
Huh. I want to watch that. Okay.
Eric,
cool.
Are you sure you didn't watch any awful movies that you can't explain why you watch them?
I'm going to be talking about one soon, but I'm not sure what you're getting at, Travis.
I feel like you just showed your hand a little early, but all right.
Oh boy, interesting. Okay, I can't wait to talk about Home for the Holidays. As far as myself, started a new job. I'm back on the working scene.
He's essential.
Out there. I am an essential worker. I also work at a hotel, so new people come in all the time from all walks of life. It's nice, a perfect place. It's a perfect place for COVID. It really is. It could be a better place. So, anyways, so I wasn't able to watch as many films, which is always sad for me because I was on a real tear the last 6 weeks or so. I was on fire. But I did watch Coneheads. Remember the Coneheads?
Yeah. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It is. I thought it was going to be. I remember watching it a lot when I was 14, 15, and it was just something that was on. But I actually was like, wow, this is fun.
Remember what I told you about the direction? Like, every shot is really interesting and just visually entertaining.
Yeah, and I'm still wondering how the hell they did that thing in the dental chair with John Lovitz. He opens his mouth, that mouth shot. You've seen that mouth shot. He's got 10,000 teeth. I'm like, wow, that looks real. It's pretty impressive. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, so I watched Coneheads. It was fun. Always good to see Chris Farley. I don't believe that Chris Farley would be whatever. I don't have to go there. Anyways, that was also Michelle Burke's first movie, just for the record. A little trivia. A little fun. And I haven't seen Jane Curtin. When's the last time you saw Jane Curtin? Anybody seen Jane Curtin? Is she still alive?
She's alive, as far as I know. I don't know. Keep going. I'll look her up. You keep talking.
Okay, yeah, it's been a while. I haven't seen her in a minute. But yeah, Coneheads is fun. Go back and check it out. Phil Hartman, John Lovitz, Dave Thomas, a bunch of comedy classics in there. I went back. I don't know if this counts as a movie or not, but I'm going to
She's working. She's working. Sorry. She's on
Jane
TV.
Curtin's still working.
All kinds of TV shows, just ones we don't watch. Movies we don't watch. The Spy Who Dumped Me, she was in that. That was a successful film. I didn't watch it, but she was in it.
Is that with
it's with people.
What's her name? The girl from Saturday Night Live, Kate McKinnon.
Mila Kunis, Justin Theroux.
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thanks. Good. It was terrible. Anyways, that's all right. Sometimes people do stupid movies.
It happens.
It certainly does. So, okay, I'll be interested in your guys' take on this, if it's a movie or not. But I watched Eddie Murphy's Delirious comedy stand-up special. Mm-hmm. This is a film.
I mean, if we talk about documentaries, I don't see no reason why we wouldn't talk about.
It's a filmed concert, so yeah, for sure.
Okay, well there you go. Anyways, I haven't watched it in a long time, and I'll tell you, talk about does it hold up or not? This is.
Is it edgy? Is it controversial? Does he say anything?
I don't. Who is this?
That people wouldn't like now?
The guy from the Haunted Mansion?
Yeah, that guy from Pluto Nash.
Daddy Daycare. That guy, I like him.
Oh boy, yeah, okay. Well, this is not Daddy Daycare, Eddie Murphy, yeah, but it's funny. There's some funny stuff that's so funny, but there's some things that may have to be put to bed, and we'll leave it at that. So, but it was cool to go back in time. He gives you a lot of access. I kind of like it. It's backstage, and nobody's putting on airs or anything. It's kind of cool to see because it's so old now too. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience overall. That was a good time. I watched it. I've never seen this before, and this might come back down the road. The Long Good Friday. I had never seen The Long Good Friday with Bob Hoskins. This is a British gangster movie from 1980, and it's fucking fantastic. I had never heard of this, and I'm thrilled. I'm so glad that this is a part of my life now, and it's got a great soundtrack or theme too. It's really 80s-ish and on edge, more kind of on edge, like a Marathon Man style, but it's like a British gangster adventure thriller thing. So.
Okay.
Really good. Yeah, I really liked that. And that was a recommendation from Luke. Thank you, Luke, for that wonderful recommendation. And I think that was about it. It was a slow.
Whiskey laughs.
I
Are you guys, dude? What are you?
I watched.
We don't know what you're laughing at, Mike.
I
Pull it
watched.
together.
I wonder if you guys remember this. I watched Follow That Bird.
Yeah, man, I saw that shit in theaters.
So did I. Yes. After I could. Wow, I had truly not seen that since I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. This is like 1985. This movie, a Sesame Street movie. It was terrible, but boy, it really took me back because I watched that Santa Claus movie. Like I said, yeah, I did. The Santa Claus movie from last week got me going. Like, what else did I see in the theater in 1985 or 86? And it was basically that movie, Santa Claus movie, and the Transformers the movie. Those are like the three movies I remember seeing in the theater around that time. So that was weird. It'll do something to you. I'd also had never seen This Boy's Life. I had never seen it.
I've been meaning to revisit. How did it hold up, or how was it rather for you?
It was all right. It was okay. It's solid De Niro, and I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. But I'd be curious to see what you think. It could be better. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just
I haven't seen it since it was new. I mean, I just read an article the other day that talking about Leonardo DiCaprio like screaming in Robert De Niro's face during his audition, which wasn't scripted. And that was partly why he got the role. And I was like, oh yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio was in that movie. I had no recollection of that. Like it's been that long since I've seen it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's 93, I believe. It's been a while. And I watched. I don't believe I mentioned this, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. This was a couple weeks ago. I watched Find Me Guilty.
No, you didn't mention
Lumet.
That was Lumet? Lumet?
Yeah.
It was like one of his last. It was the second to last. I think that Before the Devil Knows You're Dead was his last. And
yeah. All right. Yeah. Wow.
Fucking Vin Diesel is the main guy.
With hair.
With a fair amount of hair, some baldingness. He plays an Italian mafioso, and it's really strange movie. It's
not good.
It was not good. It was not good. I'm not recommending it, but it does exist, and I wanted to know because some people told me it was good. Like, dude, you got to see Vin Diesel in that Lumet movie. He really takes on a new angle. That's not the case. So just be Groot. Be Groot and be fine.
It's so bizarre that Sidney Lumet did this movie because it just seems like a made for cable, like a TNT comedy, like the quality like everything about it. I'm just like, it's amazing to me that he did this.
That is so true. I completely agree with that. You nailed it. It is. Yeah, it's like, what is this? Why? All right. So yeah. So slow week for me. Hopefully it'll be better next time. All right. We do enjoy hearing from you. So if you want to email the show, cinema9pod@protonmail.com, please do so. We'd like to hear from our friends like Derek Fern, who emails the show on occasion. Thanks, Derek. We appreciate your concepts. Remember, we did the John Cusack breakdown, thanks to Derek, a few weeks back. That was fun. And, of course, you can follow the show, Cinema 9 Pod, and all the wonderful social media platforms. And I think that's it. Okay, great. Cool. Oh, yeah, you could give us 5 stars on Apple. That's always fun. I mean, you don't have to.
Unbelievable.
We're just asking. We're not saying you have to, but it could be cool, All right, so I think we're getting right into it. It is time for us to find out, does it hold up? Home for the Holidays, 1995 film directed by Jodie Foster.
Insert the rapid Rusted Root drum intro of the movie, which it's funny to me that Rusted Root opens this movie because I've loved this movie since I saw it. But I hated Rusted Root growing up. I fucking hated Rusted Root so much, and I always would fast forward through the opening and stuff. Things change. I goddamn love Rusted Root now. I mean, not even just Before I Woke, but multiple albums I listen to them. I can't explain it. The drummer is one of my favorite drummers out there. Go figure. Wow. Things change.
That sounds about right, actually. I don't know why, but it makes sense. Rusted Root was something we ripped on profusely as teenagers.
Oh, yeah. I thought that they were so silly, and now I think that they're the shit.
We made people feel bad because they liked Rusted Root. It was completely unnecessary, and it did happen. But, yeah, so I actually fast-forwarded through that. I was like, oh, God, okay, come on.
You can't do that.
Why? Because it's
cheating.
Scenery and ooh.
So I actually really like the intro.
Sexy paint.
Because for me, this is my feelings about the intro, which is that Jodie Foster is an actor, obviously, and she's an actor's director. And mostly what she's doing with this movie is just kind of like setting the camera up and letting people go and giving them all this freedom. There's tons of improvisation that's going on, and so she's really like an actor's director. But she also like takes that opening sequence to show like, hey, if I wanted to, I could get super artsy and like. She's like showing the art really like in a weird way. And like, so it's actually, I mean, I like it. I think it's an artful scene and a nice introduction, but I can understand someone being impatient with it, especially if they're not, say, a Rusted Root fan.
Okay. Oh, so that's interesting. Well, of course, I never saw this movie, so I don't have anything to fall back on. But Travis, you're the one who chose this movie, so we know it's close to your heart. There's no secret there. I think it's okay to reveal that.
It's true.
Did you see this in the mid-90s or was it later?
I saw it in theaters. I went with my Aunt Becky and my brother and sister, and I had some bathroom issues and was stuck in there for much of the movie. In fact, I didn't need to share that, but like if I'm gonna talk about the first time I saw the movie, I might as well just be honest. But I liked it okay. Actually, now that I said a minute ago that I loved it since I've seen it, but I thought it was okay when I first saw it. But it's one of those that somehow we ended up with a copy of it around the house, probably my mom's ex-boyfriend who, pirated all those movies I've mentioned on the show before. And it became one that like, I mean, I've just watched it religiously. I just watched it over and over again. As I'm watching the movie, like there's so many lines and quotes that like just little things that like I do and say that I kind of didn't even really like. If I catch something, I'm like, it is a score, because Robert Downey Jr. says that at one point in the movie. Like just little things like that just like seeped into my my life. So obviously, a big fan of the movie. And I'm excited to hear what you guys think of it, especially Eric, because you clearly dislike it, as you've made.
Wait a minute. Wait. Well, hey, let's let's not put the Taco Bell before the diarrhea. Let's slow down and give Eric his due, because Eric, you probably saw this film before tonight or even the last week, right?
The only thing I knew about this film was that for the past 25 years, Travis always talks about how much he loves it. So I had never seen it until recently. So do I have a lot to say? Yes. Am I a little bit scared to say a lot of it? Absolutely.
You say whatever you think, Eric.
I'm going to speak my mind this evening and just hope that I can get my opinion out there in a way that is respectful and that makes some logical sense.
I'm leaving. Fuck this.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Wow. A sudden turn of events. I got to tell you, folks, that's shocking. No, Eric, we've never seen it. Neither one of us have.
No,
that's fine.
No, we haven't.
That's okay. But now we have. So, no story to look back on. I do remember this movie came out, though. I do recall it because I thought it was, until you just said 20 minutes ago, Travis, that it was Jodie Foster's directorial debut. And I kind of remember locking that in my head erroneously, apparently.
Me too.
Yeah. That's my mistake. I apologize for that. But that's it. I remember being around. It must have come out around this Thanksgiving anyways, or holidays.
It did. Yeah, it came out early November of 95.
Okay. Yay! See, that makes sense to me. Okay. I haven't looked at the score on this one, so I'm going to jump in on the score for the IMDb score, and I'm going to say, well, maybe I shouldn't go first. Travis, you looked at, you probably know it by heart.
I haven't. No, I know the IMDb score, but I have no idea what it is.
It just seems like something you're into a movie, you cover everything about. I don't know.
Look, it's a 10. It's a 10 in my heart, but I'm going to guess it's probably like a 5.8.
Okay. Well, you said that first, so I'm going to say a 5.9. That was my gut instinct. What about you, Eric?
I think I couldn't help it. I had to look. I think I'm pretty familiar with the fact that it's in the mid sixes, if I'm remembering correctly.
6.
You are correct. Wow.
All right, and you know what? I'm going to rate it right now while I've got it up.
Congratulations, 6.6, not bad. Okay, and then over on the Rotten Tomatoes side of things, which is the final say in all movie ratings,
yes,
63% from the critics, just fresh enough. It's still fresh, 63%. Audience score 72. They like it even more.
We've had a bit of a run of that lately.
We have. You've had it. Yeah, that's true. It seems to be the standard issue. Now, we all want to know what the critics think, and we're dying to know what Destin Thompson said. So I'm really hoping I hope he reviewed this movie, because if he didn't, I don't know, it's going to take some of the wind out of my sails.
It feels like a real Destin kind of film, man. I don't know.
Well, we weren't. Does it? Okay. I am not able to find it. And actually, the reviews are somewhat limited in terms of how many pages of reviews there are. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but let's give a couple. Susan Stark, our own Detroit News, gave it 3 out of 4 stars. And Susan Wolszczyna from the USA Today said, with her keen actor's instincts, Foster piles on plenty of her terrific cast to chew on and for us to savor.
Okay.
What is it? It kind of goes with what Travis was saying. Like,
yeah, I don't just go ahead and start talking, dude. You've got so much you want to say. Get it off your chest so we can get it out of the fucking way.
Wait. Let's give Roger Ebert's comment. Roger Ebert says the movie, which is about the Thanksgiving family reunion from hell, is not exactly a comedy, and yet not a drama either.
He must not have a family. I found it to be a very realistic depiction of the thing.
Yeah, you're right. Like, actually, you're right. Yeah, you're totally right. Like many, it's not over. These reviews go forever. Like many family reunions, it has a little of both elements, which would imply that maybe he knows what that's about, and the strong sense that madness is being held just out of sight. Wow. Again, Roger Ebert, quite long-winded. So, anyways,
Ebert review that was not the best Ebert review we've had on here, but I mean,
I
don't know that it made sense. Like, I'm not sure I understood it, but
yeah, I know that one left me perplexed. Okay, last one. Peter Travers, well-known critic from Rolling Stone, says, "Splat. Foster keeps the party hopping, although more dark humor would have helped before she winds it down with sentiment and bromides." Bromides?
Bromides.
Yeah, he got me there.
10-point word right there. It's one I've read but never said.
Wasn't I know there's an element called like bromine or something.
No, yeah, it's something else. Now I gotta look it up. God damn it. Don't even know if I'm saying it right.
He said he wanted more dark humor. And on that note, by the way, I would agree with him. I thought this thing could have got more ridiculous, darker, more twisted.
Trite and unoriginal.
Oh, okay. Well, Eric, come on. We want to hear from you. Give us something.
Go ahead.
I don't know where to jump in. I mean, I've got a lot to say, but
let's hear it, man. Just give it to us straight, both barrels.
I fucking hated this movie. I thought it was fucking terrible.
Why did you watch it twice then?
I had to make sure that I wasn't just like too tired or just in a bad mood, but I confirmed that. It was even worse the second time I saw it. I'm sorry, Travis. Right. You know I respect you and I love you, and we agree on almost every
I didn't make this movie. It's okay.
I know, but you know how I get about these sort of things. This is a goddamn mess. It's so ugly and mean-spirited to the point that I couldn't even enjoy it, even as like a dysfunctional family comedy movie. I hated all of the fucking characters. They were all a bunch of dicks. Even I was sitting there wishing I was watching Margot at the wedding. Every character just pissed me off with their annoying eccentricities. Every line was irritating. Even when it tried to get tender, it just came off as just insincere, clunky, jumbled nonsense from a egotistical director whose first film I didn't even like and whose second film was even worse. I'm sorry.
When it rains, it pours.
I said unload. So my take on the Larsons is the complete fucking opposite. I want Funko Pops of these people. I love these characters. I want to spend time with them. Like every time I put this movie in, I feel like I'm going home a little bit myself. I enjoy. I mean, now I don't like Joanne, for instance, the sister that gets the turkey dumped on her, and her husband, the Goot. I don't like everyone. Goot. I don't like everyone in the family, but I love the performances. I love the authenticity of the performances. I love watching Charles Durning dance. I love this movie. I love these characters, but I don't love you anymore. So
one while it lasted, all good things.
You are a bromide motherfucker.
Wow. I'll backtrack a bit. I'm going to take one step back.
You don't. I'm kidding, dude. You're not a motherfucker, but you are a little bro.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm attacking it, but I am right in my opinion. This was a chore to sit through. It was so fucking fragmented and irritating. I did like Anne Bancroft and to a lesser extent Charles Durning, but I just felt bad for Anne Bancroft putting this great performance amongst all this nonsense. You got Bob Downey Jr. trading in his charm for this cocaine-fueled nonsense. He's an absolute dick. I don't know what there is to like about this guy. I wanted to punch him, and I've never wanted to punch Robert Downey Jr. before in my entire life. He makes fun of everybody.
Agree with that, by the way.
Of his sister naked for laughs. He just makes fun of everybody. He makes fun of David Strathairn for he's saying that like his life sucks. He's like trying not to laugh at this fucking guy's misfortune.
That scene's fucking hilarious. Whatever, dude. Get off your high horse. But also, I'd like to just jump in real quick and say that this was one of the first movies that Robert Downey Jr. did when he got clean, when he came back. So he was not. It was not a coke fueled party.
He was on heroin the entire time. Jodie Foster said so.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
No, I thought
he doesn't even remember making this movie.
Well, he also said that it was an opportunity for him to improvise, and it got him back into acting. So
that was the problem. Jodie Foster needed to know when to turn off the camera instead of just letting all these actors do what they want to. Probably because she doesn't get to do what she wants to when she's an actor. So she's just like, everyone go nuts. Let's just have fun and be artistic.
Well, I did have a problem with the RDJ in this film. It did get on my nerves. Like, it reminded me of. I had the same thought, Eric. Like, can you just get okay? So he's fucked up on drugs. I didn't know that. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. But couldn't he have? Is there a time where like he could just be turned inward? And I don't know. I just feel like I've seen this performance from him so many times that it gets tiresome to me. And I like him. I do. I like him as an actor. I do. And when he does things that are not who he is, I really enjoy that. It's not that I don't like who he is either. It's not what I'm saying. I agreed with what Eric said, except for the coke fueled thing. But I had that same response, Travis. I was like, "Oh God, we're doing this again." The quick smarmy. I felt like we're watching Wonder Boys again.
Oh well, yeah, he's Robert Downey Jr. in the '90s. He's gonna kind of do Robert Downey Jr. So sorry, but I do agree that there are moments where he's smarmy and difficult, and like, yeah, taking pictures of your sister is like not okay. There's a bunch of stuff that he does that's like fucked up and wrong in the movie, and that's partly what I like about the movie. It's partly what I like about the character. I mean, 1995 homosexual characters were pretty hands off, and this is a very up close and realistic depiction of a homosexual man, in my opinion, and it would have been really easy to sugarcoat this character and make him just like a perfect little angel. And instead, he's a very nuanced and real and flawed individual who is sometimes right and sometimes wrong. And as far as having moments where he slows down and needs to just stop, the scene where he goes to get Adele and Claudia out of the closet, the pantry, and she stops and they're talking to each other, and he tries to slow her down. He's like, "You drive me crazy with your bad hair, but I like you, Ma," And he kind of like tries to, and he tries to slow down there. And that moment when this is more Anne Bancroft's moment than his, but like his reaction shots are important. When she tells him that, even as a little kid, you never wanted us to be too close. Like, oof, like every time that scene just like, it lays waste to me.
I will say I laughed my ass off when he's driving back and forth in the background while she's talking to the homecoming queen. Yeah. That made me laugh. I got a good hearty laugh out of that.
Yeah.
So it's not all one or the other either.
It's just another example of everything he does is just him being a jerk and rude and just a dickhead. I mean, there's a difference between being silly and then having like funny, like wry, wistful dialogue that's smart and like enjoyable. This is just him acting like a jerk for 2 hours. I don't get it. Is it? And like, yes, this is 1995. We don't have a lot of gay characters, but why does he have to just act like a fucking asshole? Is it because he's insecure? Is it that he's given up that his family's refused to accept him for who he is? Why does he have to be a dick?
Yeah, some fleshing out. That'd be interesting.
I mean, you definitely get a sense of some of that with Joanne. I mean, his sister calls him a pervert and says, people, you kissed him on the lips in front of everybody. Like her response in 1995 was not far-fetched. That's a realistic reaction. That's how people were acting in 1995 at the thought of gay marriage.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely had some some reactions. But I mean, again, like the movie's not about fucking Robert Downey Jr. We're awfully hung up on him here. We barely talked about Holly Hunter, the star of this movie, who is gorgeous, talented, and owns every scene that she's in. So I don't, all this time is spent on Robert Downey Jr. Let's maybe try and redirect the actual star.
I can trash every other character in this movie and why they're so horribly written and sometimes.
All right, go ahead.
I love Holly Hunter. All right, I've always loved her. She's so unique, and she's got like a quality that no one has or ever probably will have. Her first scene, what the fuck is going on with her? Is she stoned? Is she like stupid? Is she flirting? Her character makes no sense to me from the first scene.
She's a woman, dude. She's a woman in crisis. She's going through a midlife crisis. She's in her early 40s. She starts the movie saying, "Hey, for years now, literally, I have felt like my job has been a waste of my time in life. And today, of all days, I've finally had like this moment, this epiphany where I feel like the art is speaking to me and that my life has purpose again and that this is all good. And it's all just me and this and that." And then she gets fired in that moment. So she's feeling a little loopy.
They introduced the fact that she's a painter and she repairs things that were once beautiful. I'm hoping, we got some symbolism here. It's never really brought up again. Her quest, her character arc has nothing to do with her like returning back to her original passion of art. It's just tossed in there to have her act silly in this first scene.
It's about her life falling apart and literally the fact the whole there's two main themes of this movie, and they're repeated ad nauseum. One, nothing makes any sense, and two, which I take comfort in that, and two, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. That's what the movie's about.
Find a guy with
it's not about returning to what
and blue eyes and have him save you.
It's not. It's not about going back to the passion that you had in your youth. It's about finding a new step forward.
Well, I can get on board with that. I like that idea. I agree. By the way, you listen to the Cinema Night podcast. We're talking about Home for the Holidays, 1995 film directed by Jodie Foster, starring a multitude of people: David Strathairn, Steve Guttenberg, Anne Bancroft, Charles Durning. I mean, old man Durning playing the organ, having a good old time, making weird, prayer comments during what do they call that? Say grace. Right. Jesus, I don't even know what they call it. Saying grace. Home for the Holidays. So that's what we're talking about here on the Cinema Night podcast. Does it hold up? Send us an email, cinemanightpod@protonmail.com. Are we crazy? Have you seen this film? Is it the best Thanksgiving film that ever lived? Let us know. So, yes, Holly Hunter deserves more praise, Travis. She does a great job in this film. She does. I assume this is a autobiographical thing for Jodie Foster in some sense.
In part, yeah. It's based on a short story that was apparently pretty sparse, and her and the screenwriter filled it in and made it somewhat autobiographical about her and her life.
Yeah, a combo. Yeah, that makes sense. Like she's Jodie. She's not Jodie Foster per se, but there might be a little bit of Jodie Foster in the Holly Hunter character. Because she's not a painter. Jodie Foster's an actress, but whatever, it's art. So. I thought Holly Hunter does a great job in this, and I love seeing David Strathairn show up. I assume this was just like they just done The Firm, and they're like, "Hey, let's do another movie."
Yeah,
that's the first thing I thought of when Strathairn showed up on screen. Like, "Oh, The Firm Part 2."
Yeah, I'd like to get into Strathairn, but first I had more to say about Holly Hunter. Just in that, one of the things I love most about this movie are these little moments that she's given. Like when she finds out that she's fired, she walks out and we see her in profile and she just kind of stands there, opens her mouth, sticks her tongue out, and then puts it back in and starts walking, which is something that I think is a very like believable, weird, quirky thing for a person to do. Like the moment when she's like when Claire Danes, her daughter, finally calls and she's like on the phone and the cord gets stuck in the door and then she's like jammed up against the door because now the cord's a lot shorter than it was. Like I love these little moments like that, but obviously I love this movie. Yeah. I love the chip paint on the doorknob in that scene. So I mean that's how I feel about the movie. So Eric, do you have any other thoughts?
Takes you back. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I'm trying to take some deep breaths. All right,
it takes me back to the 90s.
I'm sorry, I get fired up. All right, I'll take
a
couple
you
deep
should
breaths.
Get fired up.
I like when the Claire Danes came along. I was like, okay, I can deal with this. We're gonna have it's gonna be a generational thing. We're gonna see how the young daughter who is not been influenced by this upbringing can react to these. No, she's gone throughout the whole movie, and I'm hoping she comes back. Maybe says, "I ditched my boyfriend. I actually do love my family, unlike all you assholes." And she's gonna bring something, maybe touching. Or maybe a little sentimental to things and ground everyone, but no, there's nothing like that. She just runs off.
No, there is. You just didn't notice it. It's there. It's her telling. It's not. She doesn't need to come to the fucking family dinner.
She does.
Why?
Because she can have something to offer all of the other miserable motherfuckers, not just her mother, about what love and life and youth and like.
Well, at any rate, the purpose of her in the movie is just float, right? That's the other one of the other messages of the movie. Before Finding Nemo, Claire Danes was telling us to just float and remember the fishes.
Float and be a fish and float. Well, they got such a cute thing going on.
Get along. I mean, I actually really like their relationship. I like the immediate mother-daughter reversal of roles. That like as soon as she gets in the car, she's telling her mom like, no, you're going. You can't you're not getting out of this. You're going to the airport, and like she's telling her what's what, and they have like this honest relationship where like. She's like, oh, I'm gonna have sex with Tim. It's time, and we're like, we're ready. And Holly Hunter's just like, okay, which she's not like thrilled about that, but they have the kind of relationship where they can be that open and honest. I like the authenticity of their interactions.
I actually really like the Aunt character. What Aunt Gladdy? Is that her name?
Gladdy, yeah. Who was a 50-year-old woman. She's just like a few years older than Holly Hunter at the time.
Yeah. It's weird. That's the whole Chaplin connection, right? Because Charlie, he played Chaplin, and this is his granddaughter, right?
That's his daughter.
Oh, it's his daughter. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, Geraldine Chaplin. Okay,
Geraldine Chaplin.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun little connection because for those of you who don't know, Robert Downey Jr. played Chaplin in 1992, and it was a good movie, by the way. I like that movie. Anyways, I just liked her. She's ripping farts and all kinds of dumb shit. It's great.
Did you like how they poked fun and made early onset dementia a consistent punchline throughout her entire performance?
Well, is that all you're either gonna cry or laugh. I mean, what are you gonna
look? I dementia runs through my family. I've had to deal with it. I probably will get it, and one of the things that I like about this movie is the depiction of early onset dementia, because it's these little I think she's very humanized. I think she's a believable character. For one, she's still self-sufficient. She's taking care of herself. She's feeding all of her plants. For two,
over 200.
Yeah, for two, I don't think that she's just played for laughs. I think she's a very tragic character. That whole were she not riddled with dementia, she would not take Thanksgiving dinner to admit her love for her sister's husband for like 45 years or whatever. And then that moment when she like turns, she's like, I was a Latin teacher, and it's like, oh, okay, and the tension gets broken and everything goes back to normal and everyone starts eating again. And then we see her face, and she's like seeing everybody forget what she's remembering and what she just told them, and it's just so sad.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
That's what I love about this movie. I'm sorry, but that's what I love about this movie. Is for me, I will literally like laugh and be emotionally moved to almost tears, or actual tears, like within 30-second intervals. Like it'll have me like doing both.
I mean, it's a great point. I don't know. I'm like trying to move a boulder here. I think I
fucking say it.
I don't know what to say. I mean, like when I see her say like, "Oh, it's Fruit Loops," and they're like rolling their eyes and snickering at each other, like, "Hey, isn't she fucking crazy and stupid?" Like, I just get annoyed. But if it touches you, I'm very happy about that.
But isn't this? Let's talk about this for a second, and maybe I'm wrong, because I have this same thing, and so does Eric. I know Eric has it too. We all have movies that become a part of us too. It's more than just a film after a while, and this is one for Travis. I have films that would make me cry and laugh in multiple modes every minute or two as well. And they can pull you in different directions like this. But then someone else will see it for the first time, especially if it's like 2 decades old. and it won't have the same effect on them. And I think that is worth mentioning here, because that's why we're doing this too, in a sense. I assume what was the real reason you brought this up, Travis? Because you've seen this movie a million times, so you know in your own heart whether it holds up or not. Or was it the fact that you've seen it so many times, you're so ingrained in it, you want to get other people's opinions on, does it actually hold up?
So it's one I've seen just a million times, like I've said, and but it has been for me. Usually, I watch it once or twice a year, usually, and the last 4 or 5 years I've not watched it. So it'd been a while for me, by my standards, since I'd seen it. So I was due to watch it, and I felt like it would just kind of like with other movies that I've watched. Like partly I want to be like, does it hold up for me? And also I really wanted to share this movie with my friends.
Oh God!
Nice. Be another rough night for old Albert.
I can't wait for the text that'll be pouring in as soon as the show ends from Eric.
Yeah,
guys, I'm
absolutely
so sorry.
will.
Travis,
I'm gonna have to watch it again tonight now. God damn it!
You don't. Please don't. If you don't like it, you don't like it. When you started this thing saying that you found them to be like bitter and like etc., I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what your family was like, but good for you.
That might be the thing, because like I love like the holidays. I love going to see my family like so much. Like it's not weird. We don't fight. There's none of that. So seeing this is probably just really stressful on me, and it makes me just think negatively about being with my family. So I'm just like, it just bothers me.
But that blows my mind, because I love my family to fucking death, and I think that Claudia Larson loves her family to fucking death. Like that's, to me, that's part of the point. Like of course we're dysfunctional. All relationships, when you put decades upon them and that kind of weird dynamic and intimacy, they're gonna get fucked up. Maybe maybe they don't seem fucked up to you, but I promise, put a camera on them and they might look a little weird to people on the outside. And I think that to me is, again, like one of the joys of the movies. I feel like it's like I'm watching to me, this movie makes me think of a Quentin Tarantino-esque hangout film. We're hanging out with the Larsons for Thanksgiving Day, for Thanksgiving weekend. And obviously that's not for everyone, and you can just press stop and not watch it a second or third or fourth time, or spend 4 hours watching a documentary about Frank Sinatra when you don't even like him. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Eric takes his craft seriously, and he wants to be served. And I will commend you on that, Eric. You are a man with impeccable integrity when it comes to film analyzation and breakdowns. And by the way, Sean Hatosi shows up in this film real quick.
Sean Wayne Hennessy.
He gets yelled at. I was like, oh, hey, it's Outside Providence. Hey, Dodo. Hey, Dodo. I love that movie. Maybe we'll watch that movie soon. Anyways, this is, for me, maybe I'm the guy I think we might be in 3 areas here, because I'm part of what Travis's is, but I'm not fully where Travis is at in terms of my. First of all, you do have a big family, Travis. I think that's fair to say, right?
I have an enormous family. Yeah,
you do. You have a large family. I have a very small family, so that part doesn't connect to me. But some of the things that happen in this movie are things that I've experienced at holidays. So I'm with you on that. I don't agree with what Eric's saying in that. Like, these are the worst people ever. So they're just people.
It doesn't even have to be the holidays. Let me give you a couple of moments in the film between the characters of Adele and Claudia. Anne Bancroft at her fucking top-notch finest, I think. All right, so why does she bring a coat to the airport? It's November in Baltimore. Of course, her daughter is going to be cold, so she brings a coat because her daughter needs a coat. She knows her daughter is irresponsible and the kind of person who's not going to think to travel with a coat. But in reality, her daughter is a 43-year-old woman who has a very nice and good coat and brings it with her when she goes traveling, and then accidentally loses it along the way. So like, her mother sees her, it's like, it doesn't even fucking say anything for her. Like, just like, here's a coat. Like, I know you're irresponsible. Here's your fucking coat. And they're both right, because on one hand, Adele is, daughter showed up without a coat. What do you know? And on the other hand, like, Mom, how frustrating. You're thinking that I'm like incapable of taking care of myself, when really in reality, there's like natural things happen, and you just happen to be there at that right fucking time of all people where you would catch that and make me feel that way. The same exact thing happens when she tells her mom, I'm thinking about maybe changing jobs. And she's immediately like, you were fired. And she knows it because she knows her daughter. And she's like, what? No, But yes, she was. And it's just like those moments where your parents know you better than you know yourself, even though you don't want to admit it. And it's like, I think that's like so perfectly encapsulates that parent daughter or son dynamic.
Yeah, that's well said. And I spent both of my viewings trying to figure out what the overall message was of this film, and you touch on it for sure. I think that it's trying, well, I won't preclude myself, but it's saying that we're not defined by like our families or our upbringings as adults, like exclusively. We can break through the will or lack of will from our parents to mold us into better people or better versions of themselves. And it's up to us to be our best selves, or at least like who we want to be. I just don't like the dialogue or the characters or the script or the choices the directors make or the songs or the scenes. It's just tricky for me. So I don't know what else to say.
You don't have to say anything. You could just stop talking anytime.
Well, no, I'm going to keep going.
That's right. You definitely don't ever have to watch the movie again.
The goddamn kid is annoying. Anyway,
it's supposed to be. The kids are supposed to be annoying.
Yeah, what kid isn't annoying?
Okay,
that's true.
I guess that's it. Like when a goddamn kid is annoying, I'm just like, oh god, this is so annoying. I'm not hey, kids are fucking annoying.
This is not the holiday movie for you, Eric.
How do you teach kids for a living? Kids are annoying. Like what? Okay, I mean, I guess that's how you teach kids for a living. I chuckled
once.
Yeah,
I did chuckle once when Charles Durning hosed down Goat and Downey. Like that was like his the only thing he could do to like quell this like insane energy. But he waters them like he's like watering like a potted plant. He just like turns it on and points it at him. I chuckled. I'll give you that.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I'm glad you chuckled.
Got one laugh.
How does this tattoo Eric chuckled on my forehead?
Well, how does the whole kind of thematic elements of this film come to the conclusion that it has? It's weird to me. Like everything you said about the film, Travis, I generally kind of agree with, but then it like ends with like this montage of kind of home movies from the past, the present.
I'm ready.
And it's like, oh, everything's goody. Okay, great. Tell me.
Right, I'm ready. So actually probably my favorite scene in the whole movie is Claudia going down to the basement to have that conversation with Charles Durning before she leaves. And he talks about this moment in his life, 1969, 10 seconds tops, finest moment of my life, he says. And he's talking about how, he wishes he had a camera there for it. He wishes that he had it recorded. And how fearless she was, and she kind of smiles at him, but her smile kind of falters because she's not fearless anymore. She's not the little girl that she is in his brain. She's not that moment. But that moment is still part of her. It's part of him. It's part of their life, and life is these 10-minute increments. Sometimes there's all this shit in between. And as Adele says throughout the movie, none of it matters. But as Leo Fish at the end says, no, none of it matters. Nobody will know except for you and me. And that's what the movie's about.
And that is
that it matters to us. That matters. Our lives matter to us. Look, I am an agnostic atheist. I do not approach life like I've got a bunch of options in the future. To me, it's just right now, and I don't think that there's a cosmic thing going on where anyone else can appreciate it but me and whoever else I'm fortunate enough to spend my time with, and that's why the movie speaks to me.
Okay, now we're cooking. That makes sense to me too, and I'm the same way. There's no tomorrow. All we have is what is before us, and if that's how you're going to look at this film, I got to tell you, that's kind of a revelation for me, and I'm starting to see it through different eyes. I actually might go back and watch it again. Eric, what do you think?
Be my guest.
Round 3?
Be my guest. I can't.
Not you.
Do it.
No, not Eric.
I can't do it. It's like going to a stranger's family party. It's awkward. And there's a lot of esoteric jokes that you don't understand.
Can we talk about Zach Terziak? I want to talk about David Strathern's his cameo here, because like Eric, you said it's like this is not funny to you, and of course it's not funny. He's talking about his parents dying in a car accident. Right, when they went over the what's the word? Meridian.
And then
what's the word? Meridian.
Then they cut to Robert Downey Jr. and what's his fucking blue eyes, and they're like trying not to burst out laughing.
I'm like,
what the fuck?
And then she's like, "But didn't you have a girlfriend?" "Oh yeah. She left me for my best buddy Ray." It's just everything.
Yeah,
and then
which is totally ripped off from a Jim Croce song, by the way.
Oh, is it really? Okay. But everything he says is just like he's a fucking sad sack. It's so funny to me. The last thing he says is like, "Have a nice life, Claudia." And he just, I don't know. I think that scene's hilarious and sad. I mean, I think to me, it's one of those great moments of the movie. Like, it doesn't need to be there in a lot of ways. It's just kind of a fun walk on Strathairn moment. But like, I think it's like it strikes the tone of the movie where like, and again, like I have a pretty dark sense of humor, I guess. To me, like that's like things can be hilarious and tragic and hilarious all at the same time.
But that kind of speaks to what Eric said to me, though. That scene about letting the cameras roll and Jodie Foster needs to rein this in a bit. Yeah, I think you could have cut that. And you said that, well, maybe it doesn't belong there, but
you know what I do also like about that scene is when he's making fun of Terziak, it reminds me of us again, like not to just air our dirty laundry and let everyone know what fucking terrible people we were in high school, but like that's what he's doing. Like he's making fun of the guy that he made fun of in high school. And Eric, you've done that.
I have.
So like
I have.
That's literally what's happening there. You're going on about like I've heard you do it. I've seen you do it. I've done it too. So like
Eric hates his former self.
Well, he hates the fact he's white.
A lot of shame, a lot of white guilt.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
So that to me, like, that's definitely a moment where Tommy Larson, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, is a total dick. But like, again, relatable. Sometimes I'm a total dick.
Like this podcast to me.
Yeah,
all three of us are. Yeah.
The whole affair is. It just feels very desperate to me. The titles, that's so 90s. Do you guys like the titles?
I like the Rusted Root.
Rusted Root. Not the opening credits, but like the titles when they're like, "Oh, family. Oh, birds." My favorite being The Point, because I'm like, oh, finally, there's a point to this movie after 90 minutes.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I watched the was it The Hunt for the Wilder People yesterday, and that's from 2016, and that has those similar little chapter titles.
Love that movie.
Well regarded film. Yeah, it is good. So
yeah, it's great.
I don't know.
Boy. Again, why am I the only one who hears my voice in the background? Is someone not wearing headphones?
No,
it just annoys me.
I hear your voice in the background some too.
I hate it. I'm wearing headphones. I know they work. Anyways, fuck it.
It's not
I'm telling on me. Guys, we've been talking about this movie for a while now because we kind of kept this. We don't have to go for an hour and a half. We don't want to. I think we need to kind of come to a point on this, ladies and gentlemen.
We could rein in. Eric, is there anything else you wanted to say?
Anne Bancroft does a fucking excellent job. I wish the movie was from her perspective. She exemplifies in a beautifully acted way the feeling of being, getting old and deteriorating. That scene with her in the mirror and feeling
great
and unimportant. That's fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
The rest, you know how I feel.
So, does it hold up, Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to me?
Wait, no. Well, we know Travis thinks it holds up, right, Travis?
I mean, we can switch things up a little bit, but I'll still take my turn.
Go ahead, Eric. Take control first.
Jodie Foster follows up her limp freshman effort with a family holiday movie by someone who doesn't even seem to like or be even able to handle or tolerate family holidays. Aside from a great performance by Anne Bancroft, Charles Durning, it's ugly, prosaic nonsense, silly without being funny, and generally stressful experience from start to finish. I'll take the Family Stone over this in a heartbeat, and I fucking hate the Family Stone. Doesn't hold up. Travis, I'm sorry, but this is an excruciating experience from start to finish.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be sorry. That is okay. So I will start with a criticism of the movie, which is that I do somewhat agree that Leo Fish's character kind of doesn't necessarily fit in a realistic way. For Tommy to bring him for her doesn't totally make sense. But it does galvanize her, and it does, and it is like It's a movie trope, so I'm going to ride with it. I'll roll with it in the same way that I will the end of the movie speech in front of all the people that are held hostage there listening. Like I'll ride along with some of it. I'll make some exceptions, and of course I'll make some exceptions because, as Mike pointed out earlier, I have extreme nostalgia for this movie.
Yeah,
this movie's in my blood, and the Larsons are, and I think that they are a warm and loving and funny and relatable and believable family. That as Claudia says to her sister Joanne, we're family. We don't have to like each other. And sometimes you can love someone without liking them. And again, I'm not, for any family members listening, I'm not talking about anyone specific, but I'm generally not. But I mean, I do think that families and relationships generally are extremely complicated, and this movie is a slice of life, kind of movie. It's a hangout picture. There's not like a huge arc, but there is a character that goes from thinking, hey, maybe I'm turning a corner and having like things are okay at the very beginning of the movie, to have everything pulled out and the floor drops out from under her, and she goes home and like, you see that parade of like, she sees all the people talking on the phones with their parents and like, fuck. And like that hilarious scene when she pulls up and she looks over at the car at the guy next to her and he looks like fuck. And like, and you think it's going to be like this awful thing. And there is a lot of awful things that happen, but still she picks herself up, she dusts herself off, and she starts all over again. And she gets a lamb from Aunt Gladys, or at least Leo Fish does. And there is hope, and there is things in the future, and there is life can matter to us, even if it doesn't matter to everybody else. So for me, I clearly love this movie, and it holds up.
Well, there you have it, folks. I think we have our answer. So thank you for listening to the Cinema 9 podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Do you think this film holds up or not? Let us know. Cinema9pod@protonmail.com.
Michael, your thoughts on this matter?
Man, why are these getting so hard lately? I mean, usually I have this part. I always have the answer.
This is trash.
Quick. Yeah, it's like last week I was torn to bits. And in fact, I actually thought about last week's answer for like hours, days even. I'm like, damn,
so
did I do that? Really?
I didn't know what I was going to say until the moment. I didn't.
Okay, well that's good. That's helpful. There's things about it that do hold up. So, and I really do like the fact that RDJ, even if I think he's annoying in this film and I don't connect with him, it's a very important role and it's something that is ahead of its time. That means this movie holds up in that respect. So that's a good thing. But then it becomes a personal choice. Does a movie hold up because you love it? Does it hold up because it entertained you? What are the parameters? And I think for all three of us, we each have a different kind of setting on this. I really do.
Everyone does.
So for me, and you just said, hey, it only matters to us, right? So each one of these answers matters to each one of us. So for me, when I think about this film, I watched it. It was so. I think a 6.6 is rock solid for me. Yeah, it's a 6.6. It's a decent film.
Does it get your seal of approval?
I think it holds up. And yeah. Okay, so there you go.
All right.
There it is.
It holds up.
It holds up. It does. I mean, there's a lot to it about, family films they're so done in a way that are lame as fuck and cheesy and so completely unrealistic, especially the farther you go back in movie history, they're awful. They're not even relevant at all. So I think we find a movie like this, even if you don't love the way it makes you feel, it definitely holds up for a family. Comedies, dramas, pain, everything, all the things that you guys described that went in this film. So that's fun. That's cool. It's a decent film. I'll watch it again because I want to get some of what you guys, not what Eric's getting, because I'm confident.
You don't want what I have.
Yeah.
It's guilt, stress.
You might want to approach it. You might want to approach it like with a non-critical lens. For me, I was curious. Like I thought, like I was a little worried to watch it with a critical lens because I thought I was gonna be like, oh, because like when I watched Wonder Boys with a critical lens, like yeah, I love that movie, but there were some parts I was like, this maybe some of it not as perfect as I thought. And Eric, notwithstanding, when watching this movie with the critical lens, I walked away loving it even more.
Wow. Okay. Well, if that's not a ringing endorsement of this film, I don't know what else would be. That's it. Home for the Holidays, 1995. Thanksgiving's coming up over the next week or so when we're recording this. So go check it out. Fuck planes, trains, and automobiles. Let's try something different.
No. Don't fuck. Watch that too.
Oh,
Watch
Double
that
feature.
too. Watch that. Watch Dutch. You know,
Watch Son of a Woman, my favorite Thanksgiving movie.
yeah, watch Son of a Woman. Watch The Lions. Why not? And then watch Home for the Holiday.
That Son of a Woman's. Wow, that's a great call.
I do have to say, and I won't be able to sleep tonight if I don't say this, I am very glad that you got to talk about this movie, Travis, because I know how much you love it. I hope I didn't upset you that much.
You did not at all.
And I'm sure there is a ton of people out there that are going to agree with you, and I absolutely respect.
Haven't you been listening, Eric? It just matters to us again. So he only cares what he thinks.
Eric, I do love you. I do love you, and I don't think you're bromide.
Oh,
bromide. I don't know how to pronounce it.
All right, well, let's cut the shit. Eric Branstrom, you have the floor. What is next week's selection for actual Thanksgiving week?
Okay, this was the most tough week.
It doesn't hold up.
It's fucking garbage.
No.
All right. Usually they pop in and I'm like, there it is. There's like a shining light on it. And it's like, all right, that's it. We're doing it. It was fucking tough. I had all of these ideas for these big heavy hitters, but I couldn't get excited for any of them. I'm like, I don't really even care to talk about this, even though it'd probably be a good candidate. I'm going out on a limb. As you did, Travis, this week, and I respect the hell out of you for that.
Why was this going on a limb? He loves this movie. I don't
Well,
understand.
it's a sleeper. Not a lot of people have even heard of it.
Yeah. This is not going to get us a lot of listeners.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. I decided
to
listeners.
What do you think of that, huh?
All 9 of you go to hell.
Does that make you like our podcast?
I decided to have a little fun and go back to 1993.
Oh,
all right. A film that actually still gets a lot of respect for being a fun action movie with a lot of social satire.
I know.
Written by Daniel Waters, who also penned Heathers. I think we're going to be able to point out a lot of parallels with what's going on in this film, with what's going on today: class warfare, social proximity, the criminal justice system. You guessed it, Demolition Man.
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man.
All right.
I'm going Last Action Hero. Fuck.
I thought you were going to do
that. Holds up. There's no use even talking about it. Demolition Man.
I thought you were going to do Last Action Hero till you said.
I was going to, but we would just all be like, "It's so fucking good." Demolition Man. It's time to take another look.
All right. All right. Wow. Demolition Man.
Yeah.
Well, you may have
Dennis Leary stars.
You may have tried.
Leary.
Well, he
I'm kidding.
Supporting cast.
Yeah, I'm joking.
This is a rat burger.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Quick comment at the end. Oh, man. I love Chad Gibbons loves Demolition.
Exactly. I think I love it, too. It's been 20 years. We'll see. President Schwarzenegger, a lot of parallels. Come on now.
Yeah. Hey, Benjamin Bratt. Who doesn't love Benjamin Bratt?
I do think it's I love the way we generally approach the show, but I also think I think it's fun to maybe try and throw in some more wild cards like this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Agreed. What's that fucking guy's name? Otho's in it. I don't know his real name.
Glenn Shaddix. Otho. Yep. Glenn Shaddix. Rest in power.
Rob Schneider.
Green. Oh, God.
Sandy Bullock. Prime Sandra Bullock. 1993.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
fucking...
right before she popped. Really, there was a process of her popping.
There's a lot of people. The warden from Shawshank. Yeah, everybody's in there.
Yeah, so, Bob Newton. Bob Newton. Absolutely.
It's filled with characters. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I love Demolition Man, so I'm sure it's going to be not what you think it's going to be. But hey, we'll find out. Stay tuned. Next week, cinema9pod at protonmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know. Did you love Home for the Holidays? Had you never seen it? Are you like Travis? If there's somebody out there, we would love to hear from you. Just tell us who you are. Are you a secret Home for Holidays fan like Travis?
If there's one person, let's start a support group or something.
Yeah, I love it. I just want to know that they're out there. I think it'd be cool.
Send me a personal email. Subject line: Eric, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, this is not even like a cult movie. This is just like hey, I like this movie.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so yeah, we've enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with a blonde-haired Simon Phoenix, and it's going to get real wild. And every restaurant is Taco Bell, unless you own the different version where every restaurant is Pizza Hut, by the way, which we'll talk about next week. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody. See you next week.